Welcome to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, CEO and founder of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thank you so much for taking time out of your crazy busy schedule to be with us today. And if you're a parent out there watching our show today, this show is set up perfectly for you because getting things ready for your children, timing is on your side. And the sooner you start, the better off you're going to be and the better off they are going to be. So today's show is all about smart planning for your children and how that's going to set them up in a really, really good way moving forward in their future. And to be honest with you, on the backside of that, it's going to help you in your future as well because you're taking the initiative to get things started for them in the right way. Joining me today is my good friend and advisor, Bobby Futch. Bobby, welcome to the show.
Hey, Gary. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excited for today's show.
Well, you should be because you've got a couple of little ones at home, right?
We got, just a freshie at home too.
You do. So, Bobby and Allison have Juniper and Benji, 2 children. Tim, our other advisor, has 2 children, Eleanor and Harvey.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Harvey. I love Harvey, man. He's such a cool kid. Tanner has Hadley Faith. Brogan and Jess, they set the record. They got 4 children. Chet, August, Zira, and, oh my gosh, how do you say his name, Bobby? Arlo. Such a cool.
We got a bunch of them
He's got
around.
A basketball team.
He does.
Yeah, and then myself and Rhonda, of course, have a grandchild now, 2 years old, and little baby Hayes. So start early, win big, because when it comes to your children's future, there's a lot of different things you can start doing now, because if you start at birth, you're going to be so far ahead of the game, and it's really going to benefit your children in the long run. So today's show is all about planning for your children and the benefits that come from that, because, Bobby, you got 2 little ones at home. Yeah. The sooner you start, the better.
Yeah, the compound interest that we always talk about when we talk about saving for retirement. You start saving when you work in that time frame. If you start for your kids when they're born or really soon, that's that much longer that you have to help set them up for success.
So you're not just investing money, you're actually buying time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because you think about it, if you get out of school or out of high school or college, you're 20, 25 before you start working, you've got that much of a head start for your kids if you start when they're born and when they're really young. And that means you don't have to put gobs of money away for your kids in order for it to make a big difference.
Big difference, because you add a little interest and it compounds over time. I remember when Nick and Morgan had dinner with Ron and I, and they brought us the little scan picture.
Yeah, little sonogram picture.
Oh man, you talk about emotional. That was awesome for us there. But I remember looking at Ron and went, I need to work more. Yeah. We got a grandchild to take care of now, but when he was born, I sat down with you and Tim. I said, okay, help me out. What are we doing? And you and Tim guided me in the right direction. And now we got money working for him. And that's the word. The money's working for Hayes for his future.
That's right.
And I think a lot of parents are missing out on that. But Bobby, I want to bring something up really quick. You just mentioned you don't have to put gobs of money. You can start small.
Really, when you start sooner, the number has to be a little bit smaller, right? So just $25, $50 a month.
Yeah.
Whatever you can afford to put aside for your children really helps. There's a handful of different ways you can do that. There's different types of accounts that are out there for kids for different reasons.
We're going to talk about those.
Yeah, we're going to talk about 529 plans, right? They're a pretty popular one.
Right.
We've got custodial accounts, UTMAs or UTMA or UGMA accounts.
Yeah.
That's a popular one. Roth IRAs.
Oh.
This is often overlooked for kids that have started to work. If you've got a teenage job, whether it's part-time,
right,
mowing lawns or something, that's a great option. Life insurance is a good one.
What we need life insurance on our children?
Yeah, not a lot of people think about life insurance for babies. Right?
So before we dig a little deeper into those different categories you just gave us, I want to put something up on the screen right now, because this is something I think every parent should be teaching their children, and it's your tax strategy. In other words, how are they going to pull money out of these accounts? And Randy, if you can put that slide up for us really quick. We call this the tax smart order, because they're going to be taxable accounts, your mutual funds, your stocks, your CDs, tax deferred accounts, the IRAs, 401ks that they're going to get into down the road, tax deferred annuities. Children don't need those right now.
That's right.
They need to be in the more risky bucket. And then, of course, you got the non-taxable Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, and, of course, life insurance, which you're going to hit on. Yeah. But let's go through those that you just mentioned, Bobby. And I want to start with 529 plans. That's probably the most common plan that people are looking into these days?
Yeah, I'd say so. 529 plans are a pretty cool option if you want to focus on educational savings. You know, it's kind of funny. Tim McDermott, my fellow advisor in our Chattanooga office, we go back and forth about 529s in you know, good humor all the time. I'm a big fan of them. Tim thinks there may be better ways to do it, more flexible ways, and I agree with him. But there's some benefits here. And so if you want to save for education, that's what really these are based off of. You get tax advantages.
That's right.
Right? So just like a traditional IRA, you get growth tax-free.
Right.
And if you pull them out for educational expenses, it comes out tax-free. And now they've really come a long way in the last handful of years where you get a lot more options. People used to really dislike 529 plans because if your child or the beneficiary didn't use them for qualified educational expenses, it was really difficult to get the money back out of these accounts.
Well, it's not difficult, but you got to pay taxes on it.
Well, that's right. You can pull it right out, taxes, and there's an additional penalty.
That's right.
And so people felt stuck if the kid didn't go to school, didn't need the money for educational expenses. They just kind of had to bite the bullet and take the penalties and interest. But there's been some really cool additions or changes to 529 plans in the last couple of years. One is it was allowed to use for primary education. So, you know, it's not uncommon where you have private elementary school or primary school now, K through 12. You can use these accounts to fund those educational expenses. If they didn't go to a traditional college, you know, if they went to a vocational school, wanted to be a welder, an electrician, those are awesome careers.
Which are popular now.
Very popular. Right. And listen, I'll argue that, you know, they're just as important, if not more, than 100%. Traditional college. Yeah. Hey, and some of those guys are absolutely killing it professionally.
Making a great living.
Right.
But now, can't you roll some of a traditional 529 to a Roth now? There's certain limits.
Well, that's right. And so if there's money left over, this is really cool. You can take leftover 529 money up to $35,000 and roll that into a Roth IRA for that beneficiary. That's huge. So not only were you able to save for their education, but now if there's leftover money, you can now kind of supercharge a Roth IRA early in their working career. That's huge. The only caveat there is that 529 plan had to have been open for 15 years.
Okay, so it's got to be open for a while, but we're talking about starting at birth, so that shouldn't be a bad situation.
For most people, that's not an issue.
Let's jump into one more, custodial accounts.
Yeah, custodial accounts are really cool because they're a lot more flexible than a 529 account. So basically, you're opening a traditional brokerage account in the name of the child.
Correct.
Right. There are no special tax treatments for this, right? So you don't get any kind of deduction or special tax treatment for putting money in one of these. But you can pull it out and use it for whatever you want.
Sure.
So if you want a little more flexibility, you kind of don't want to be pigeonholed into just education. You want to help buy a new car when they turn 16. Down payment on a house. You want to pay for a wedding. This is a great way to do it.
Yeah, I love that idea.
The downside here, though, is that when they reach the age of majority, 18 or 21, depending on what state you live in, they get to take control of those assets.
It's theirs now, right? Yeah.
I remember what I was like at that age.
Yeah, exactly,
Jared.
exactly.
And if I had a whole bunch of money that was in my control at that point, it might not have been spent in the most effective way. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, let's talk about one more, then we'll jump into the life insurance on the next segment. Roth IRAs. We tell everybody we know right now, we think taxes are going to go up in the future. That's right. Roth IRAs are the way to go.
Yeah, this is great. So if you have a young person that's working, maybe they have a part-time job, waiting tables, whatever it is, it doesn't matter as long as they have earned income. They can open and fund a Roth IRA. What's the cool part is the money they earn from that job doesn't have to be the money that goes into the Roth IRA.
That's correct.
So if you wanted to kind of help your kid out and they made, you know, a couple $1,000s during a summer job, you could dump that in a Roth IRA for them, and that's going to grow tax-free for the rest of their life.
But do they have to wait till 59 and a half to pull it out tax-free?
They would have to do that to get the earnings out. Yes.
That's correct. That's what I thought. So they could they could take the principal out though before that.
Yeah, they could. There's some rules to that, but really this is going to be kind of supercharging a retirement account for them. You got to think of it that way.
I love it. So we just talked about 529 plans, custodial accounts, and Roth IRAs for your children. When we come back on the next segment, we're going to talk about something you probably haven't ever thought about, and that's life insurance. There are some really neat ways you can take advantage of life insurance to really help your child in the future. And again, time is on your side the sooner you start. If you'd like to come in and talk to Tim and Bobby in Chattanooga, Brogan up in Knoxville, give us a call, 423-803-6181. And as always, we'd like to give you a copy of our book. There's this whole section in here about certain things that we're talking about today. Plan today, own tomorrow. You can scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen or go to plantodayoffer.com. We'll send the book right out to you absolutely free. So when we come back, we're going to hit on that life insurance and a few other things and timing that you should be thinking about to help your children in the future. We'll be right back. Are you ready to retire? I don't know is not an acceptable answer, because if you're not ready to retire with enough money to last until your last breath, when would you like to know? We created a quiz to give you a clear idea of retirement readiness, income, Social Security, tax debt, health care. Get a clear picture of how ready you are and where you need help. Get a second opinion. It's free. Go to GIAquiz.com for your retirement readiness score. Welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. And today's show is all about getting your children ready, educating them on different ways and different buckets of money they can actually use in the future, because that's going to help you in the future. So if they plan now, timing is on your side. That's a beautiful thing. You don't have to start big. You can start with more doable, let's call it, investment options. You don't have to put as much money in there. And then it's really going to take a little bit of pressure off of you in the future as far as taking care of your children. Now, Bobby, we finished that talking about 529s. We talked about custodial accounts, Roth IRAs, which we love. Why in the world are we talking about life insurance?
Yeah, it sounds kind of weird talking about life insurance
for your child,
for kids, right? But I think it's an important tool, and it can be a really powerful one for a couple of reasons. One, everyone knows when you go to buy life insurance, it's based on age.
Correct.
Right? The premiums are based on how old you are. And so the longer you wait to buy life insurance, the more expensive it gets. It doesn't get any cheaper than trying to insure an infant or a one-year-old.
Right.
Right. So that's a good thing about it. They're generally more healthy, and they're never getting younger, so premiums are cheaper. If you do this with a permanent life insurance product, I'm not suggesting people go out and buy term life insurance for their toddler.
Correct.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
But what happens is these policies can build cash value that provides you flexibility in the future. So this cash value builds over time. And like the UTMA or UGMA accounts we talked about in the last segment,
right,
you can actually take policy loans out of these life insurance policies to go pay for whatever you want.
Tax-free?
And because they're loans, they are income tax-free to that beneficiary.
So life insurance is a great benefit especially for a younger child, because it gives it more time to grow that cash value.
And listen, God forbid that that kid does get older and develop some health issues. That premium that you got for them when they were very young continues for their entire lifetime. So if they need to assume that life insurance to protect their eventual family down the road, they're doing it just as cheaply as they possibly can.
I love that.
Right?
It's
a great tool to do.
So Lemur just came out with a report, Bobby, that life insurance new premiums topped $17.5 billion in 2025. They're setting records, and they've set records for the last several years. That's 10% more than in 2024. So do you think it's where people are catching on?
Yeah, I think a lot of
awesome life insurance is as a tool?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. People are realizing that life insurance, while at its most basic form, is to protect you from dying, right? There's a lot of other cool stuff that life insurance can do with planning for your kids, planning for retirement. It's really more than just death protection. So
what are some mistakes that you're seeing parents make right now?
Not doing anything. Or thinking that I need to save a whole bunch of money, so I'm going to wait until I have that extra money. One of the other things that I see, and we'll go back to the 529s, I said I'm a fan. One of the big problems with that is parents and grandparents that overfund these plans.
Oh, okay, good.
Right? So if too much money gets put in those accounts for your kid, they're never going to use it. It's really inefficient to get the money back out. So don't just go and load a whole bunch of money in a 529 plan. Maybe you can pick 2 or 3 of these tools to help plan for your children.
So let's go to a tough topic right now. You know, and this is something Ron and I have, you know, children. One's about to be 30, one is 29. So there comes a time in your life, especially with your retirement, where helping your children versus sacrificing your retirement. If they start early, maybe you don't have to worry about that as much because you're building up this nest egg, if you will, that they can use.
That's right. And we see this a lot with folks that have, like yourself, new grandkids, and they want to do and they want to help. Before they know it, they got 7 grandkids, and they're trying to do everything for all of them. You can't help your grandkids or your kids out at the risk of your own retirement, right? You got to make sure you take care of yourself. Because here's the issue. If you run out of money in retirement because you've been helping your kids and grandkids, you're just going to be a burden back on them.
That's right.
And really, has that really helped them out at all? So we talk about planning all the time. That's the crux of our show.
Sure.
It's called Plan Today, Own Tomorrow.
That's right.
Put a plan in place if you want to help kids and grandkids. It's doable. There's a bunch of tools that you can use to do it.
Yeah, we just spit out 5, and I mean, there's so many ways they can help out.
Just don't overdo it at the sake of your own retirement.
You made me think of a funny story because, you know, we fly a lot. I fly a whole lot. And, you know, when they're going through the whole demonstration before you fly out, you know, if we lose cabin pressure, all these different things, put the mask on yourself first before you do others.
That's right.
So you got to take care and protect your own retirement process. And that's, again, when timing really matters, because we don't want your children to be a burden. And Bobby, we have a really neat way when we're talking to parents, grandparents about this, using our bucket strategy. So if we'll put up that slide, Randy, the strategic blend strategy, if you position your money correctly, and you can do this for your children as well. Talk about our bucket system really fast.
Yeah, this is great. This is the most simple way we describe retirement planning, and it's really in 3 buckets. You have the red growth bucket, you have the green income bucket, and you have the yellow liquidity bucket. And they all have their own place in retirement planning. Here's the cool thing. If you take care of your green bucket in retirement, which is your guaranteed retirement income,
right,
you still have the red bucket money to be able to go out and help those kids, help those grandkids, because the green bucket has taken care of your needs. So if you want to take some money out of the red bucket and go spend it on kids or grandkids, you can do that, and you're not worried about putting your own retirement at risk.
Because as a parent or grandparent, you need to make sure your income is in place before you start helping others.
That's right.
And that's a big deal. We don't want you to sacrifice your retirement planning because maybe you didn't start early enough for your kids. Bobby, let's jump into this really quick. Educating your children with financial responsibilities. I think that's one of the best gifts we can give our children. So a couple of things really quick. Matching savings inside those contributions. Let's say 401k matches.
This is more important, I think, than providing monetary assistance to your kids or grandkids.
Totally agree.
Teaching them how to be responsible with money, teaching them how money works, can set them up for future success, even if you're not able to give them a dime. And so some of the ways you can do that is if a kid is saving for a car, for example, right? Make sure they have some skin in the game. You know, say, for every $1 you're able to work and put money aside, mom and dad will match that, or grandma and grandpa will match that.
Or maybe they cut the grass or something
right.
like that. The extra work around the house, and you can pay them to do that.
That's right. If your kids, you know, are older and they're able to do chores, you know, pay them an allowance, right? That kind of teaches them the value of money and that it doesn't grow on trees, right?
And don't you think teaching them, you know, let them be part of financial decisions. Let them sit down with you and your spouse and understand what you're truly doing with money, because you are giving them much more than wealth at this point.
That's right. Yeah, it's a financial education. And financial education is way more important than dollars. They'll earn money themselves in the future at some point, we all hope, right?
Yeah.
And if you can let them have the education to be a little smarter with that in the future, I think you really set them up for success.
So if you're watching the show today and you're like, man, I would really like to put a structured plan together for my newborn, or your 3-year-old, or your 7-year-old, or your 10-year-old, or in my case, my 30-year-old, my 29-year-old, and now my grandson at 2 years old, give us a call, 423-803-6181. Come in Chattanooga, sit down with Tim and Bobby. In Knoxville, come and sit down with Brogan Walters. Let's put a plan together for you to help your children now while you have timing on your side. Just give us a call, 423-803-6181. And of course, we're always giving out my book, Plan Today So You Can Own Tomorrow. You can scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen, or simply go to plantodayoffer.com. We'll send the book right out. When we come back, we're going to talk about the generational impact by helping your children now. Stay tuned.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Gary Thurman with Guardian Investment Advisors. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. All of our advisors are fiduciaries that specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis. Welcome back to Plan the Day, Own Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors, and today we're talking about planning for your children, and we're talking about how timing is on your side. And we've had a lot of fun in the first two segments, giving you different ideas, different concepts. And here's something I want you guys to think about. If you start helping your children now, do you realize the impact that's going to have on the whole family tree? It's kind of where Ron and I are at right now, having a grandson in our lives. And, you know, Bobby, college is just one part of this. That's just one milestone that you're looking at. But you may have a child or a grandchild that don't want to go to college. Maybe they want to go to that trade school that you were talking about. But real planning goes further. So let's talk about some of the other things folks can start doing to educate their children on how money works.
Yeah, I think everyone gets hung up on helping their kids and grandkids for college, right? Because we know how expensive it can be, and that seems to be the first thing that people think about.
Yeah.
But a down payment on a house, that's huge, right? 20% down on a house, we all know what a house costs nowadays. 20% is huge if they want to start their own business.
Yeah.
I mean, how proud would you be of a child or a grandkid that wants to go out and start their own business?
Yeah.
It's not cheap to do that.
Nope.
Gary, you know that.
I do know that.
And then even helping jumpstart their retirement with some of those Roth IRAs we talked about. There's so many different ways you can help the next generation that's not traditionally just the saving for college. Well, it's important.
Isn't it amazing what a $10,000 head start can do for someone 2 years old?
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, or even 20 years old.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
you get out of college or you're starting your own job, your first job or business, and you've got a small nest egg that you can kind of step up on to climb that ladder, it can be huge.
I want to talk about something that happened in our Chattanooga office probably 2 years ago, Bobby, where we had some grandparents in, and they had done very well for themselves. You know who this is, but I'm not going to say the name, of course. And one of his biggest concerns was that his granddaughter, wanted to go to UT. So she's still in high school, but she has her heart set on going to UT. I said, you do realize that in the state of Tennessee, she can go to Chattanooga State absolutely free for 2 years, and she's going to be taking the same classes she would be at UTK. UTK is beautiful. I love that university. But that's just a window of opportunity a lot of people are not taking advantage of.
Yeah, it's a great benefit that our state offers, right? 2 years of undergraduate education on the state to go ahead and get some of those core classes taken care of.
You got to do them anyway.
They're probably going to be the same if you're at UT or UTC, wherever you're going to school.
Right.
You know, it helps people get ready for that, maybe higher rigor of financial, of college learning with half or none of the cost in Tennessee.
So this same grandfather, I had a conversation with him about she could go free for 2 years. You could take that money that you're going to fund for her to go to this major university, put that money back, let it grow inside of a broker account, and now your granddaughter has a nest egg of money she can use for a car, for a down payment, and for maybe a wedding. Yeah. Weddings are expensive, Bobby. So if you start planning now for that, it's going to help them in the long run because weddings are expensive.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's crazy. It's crazy the amount of money. What are your thoughts on having successful family planning, letting your children be part of a financial planning strategy with your whole family?
We do talk about this a lot with our clients, and when they're young, they need to be. get them in front of some decisions, right? Yeah, I'm not going to put a 10 or a
No.
11-year-old in front of a 401k statement or whatever, but it's important for them to know that financial decisions are not easy to make. You know, and I don't care if you have $1 or you have $1 million. Everyone still has to make financial decisions.
Right.
And your kids can be part of that. But as they get older, you know, if you have some adult children, we always invite our clients to bring their kids into the fold, right? Figure out, show how parents have saved, what their plans are for that money. If it's going to be generational planning, this is even more important. If your goal is to leave your kids some money after you pass, or you want to start gifting them money while you're still living, bring them in on those conversations.
Absolutely.
Bring them into the meetings that you have with Brogan, Tim, and I, so they can know exactly how much work has been to amass that money, what the planning is you're doing now, and what the goals are for the future. That has a lasting impact because they understand what went into building that wealth before it gets passed.
So not really leaving them wealth, but teaching them about wealth in the long run is going to help them in the future, and it's going to help their children.
That's exactly right.
Isn't that amazing what you can pass along? I mean, yes, it's nice to leave a legacy behind for your children, grandchildren, your favorite church or charity, but isn't teaching what we all should be doing, Bobby?
Yeah, the education, I would argue, is way more important than a dollar figure. If those things can go hand in hand, even better.
We all know children are not perfect, parents are not perfect, but if you can just take some time and sit down with a firm like ours, let us help guide you. Let us help show you how to put this proper plan together. We call it a structured plan. Just like with your income planning and your healthcare planning, you need a plan. So when it comes to your children and your grandchildren, guess what, folks? You need a plan. We're giving you a free consultation right now to get that written income, written structured plan. Give us a call, 423-803-6181. Come in and see Tim and Bobby in Chattanooga. Come in and see Brogan in Knoxville. Let's start putting a plan together for you and for your children and grandchildren. As always, we offer my book, Plan Today so you can own tomorrow. Plan today so your children can own tomorrow. All you have to do is go to plantodayoffer.com or scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen. Get with your children and read over this book in a couple of family night sessions. We'd love to help you out. We'd love to structure a plan around this for you. Again, 423-803-6181. Thanks for joining us today on Plan Today on Tomorrow. We'll see you next week.